clothing because I always thought that safety equipment was uncomfortable. But you know what's most excruciating? Is knowing that it didn't have to happen. It shouldn't have happened. And that's really why I'm here today, to tell you why it shouldn't have happened. Who was this guy who refused to accept responsibility for my safety and well-being? It was me. Because I didn't understand that the person who was ultimately responsible for my safety wasn't my mother or father, wasn't a safety guy, wasn't a guy working next to me. It was me. I was ultimately responsible. You're not lucky. Unless you change your attitude, unless you change your behavior, unless you start accepting responsibility for your own safety right now, you're just in line for the big one.
So as you can see, Charlie now is a safety mentor throughout the world. He's coaching people on safety. He learned the lesson the harder way. But definitely we need to know why things are there in place and why we need to follow the rules. Okay, that's a safety moment. This is now welcome to the profession. So those youngsters, you know what safety moment is all about, or when we talk about lesson learned, something going wrong, how we're going to take it with us and how we're going to implement this in our career or in our life. Okay, so what is safety profession? Okay, as we said, we know safety. The moment we understood walking, that we really know what safety is all about. But do we really know what safety is all about when it comes to critical industries? As a safety profession, what I need to look at? So the simplest of definition a safety profession is about, it is to protect prevention of harm to people, property, environment. As simple as that. So in simple terms, this is what the safety guys does, as a safety profession does. And we make it, we call it HSC, Health, Safety, Environment. So when I say HSC, now you know we are talking about the safety profession. So you learn about safety moment, now you know what HSC is. Okay, now safety, so that's it. The safety profession is about protecting people, protecting asset, protecting environment. Kalas, I know safety, right? But the question is, we all know safety. But what is the one thing that we don't know? How can I make something better? How can I make the difference between what I know and what the other guys know? The simplest of an example, a child with a knife. Okay, if you see a child with a knife, what you do? You go take away the knife. Why? The child doesn't know the hazards. He is unknown. The hazard is unknown. But you have seen the hazard. You have seen the dangers of someone, a child using a knife. You know the child doesn't know that the knife can cut him. Yes, the child has. So as a safety, what your mind tells you, go catch the knife before he cuts his hand. That is a safety man in you. See, that's how a safety works. Before something goes wrong, you anticipate. Now, this was the simplest of an example which we had. But as we go ahead in the life in complicated matters, things get difficult. Now, the question you should ask is, how do I get this knowledge? How can I be different than what I am? So you need to have understanding of something called safety science. Now, what is safety science? Again, in simple terms, everything that goes into prevention of accidents, everything that goes in the prevention of illness, fires, explosion, even which harm people, property, environment. So it's a broad definition of what we know, what is safety. So now you know what is safety, you know what is HSC. Okay, I have used, as I said to you, I'll give you a feel of this profession. I have used this science here, health hazard science, corrosion science. Okay, these are as per the as a global harmonization standard UN signage. Okay, so these sciences are there. Whenever we want to make a hazard sign, we use either this sign or any of the recognized signs from British standard, whatever. So as a profession, if I ask you to make a signboard, I want a signboard in health hazard. You don't write health hazard, blah blah blah. Okay, you bring something as per the standard. So as an HSC, you need to look into this. Just to break the audience in Urdu, अभी हम लोग so let me talk a brief about Urdu on SCC. So safety क्या चीज है? सेफ्टी तो हम लोग तो जैसे हम लोग बचपन से हम लोग सेफ्टी फॉलो कर रहे हैं. जैसे हम लोग ने होश संभाला, हमको मालूम है सेफ्टी क्या चीज है, हमें क्या चीज करना चाहिए. तो इन सिंपल टर्म्स सबसे बेसिक है सेफ्टी क्या चीज, कोई भी चीज जो हमारी आदमी की सुरक्षा करता हो, वातावरण की सुरक्षा करता हो, and assets. Okay, these are the things. In simple terms, safety is protecting everything. और ये ज्ञान हमको कहाँ से आएगा? ये ज्ञान हमको सेफ्टी साइंस से आएगा. सेफ्टी साइंस क्या चीज है? अगेन इट इज एलॉबरेशन ऑफ द वर्ड सेफ्टी. प्रिवेंशन ऑफ एक्सीडेंट, हमें एक्सीडेंट कैसा रोकना है, इलनेस कोई चीज होने के पहले हमको उसका नॉलेज होना चाहिए, उसकी अंडरस्टैंडिंग होना चाहिए. ये चीज हमको कहाँ से मिलेगी? ऑफ कोर्स विद एक्सपीरियंस, थ्रू द प्रोसीजर्स, थ्रू द स्टैंडर्ड्स. Okay, so now the question is, now the next question is, okay, this is now you told me what is safety, you told me about safety science. How do I get this knowledge? You already have that knowledge. As you grow, come to the stage of 10th grade, 12th grade, or graduate, by over these years, you have understood safety in terms. Okay, you know that if water is mixed with electricity, there's a shock. You have learned this. Some have learned the harder way, some have learned the better way. So knowledge is there. The denial of knowledge is not there. You know about this knowledge. So what are the, how am I going to get this knowledge? If I am going to make a difference in HSC, what do I need to have to make the difference among the rest of you? Okay, these are the knowledge areas of science. Okay, basically you should have a knowledge about chemistry and biology, about the hazardous substance, their properties, how they react with each other. Physics, you need to know about the forms of energy, noise, energies, electricity, vibration, radiation. You should have understanding of this subject. The more better you are, the master you are. So HSC does means everything. You have knowledge of chemistry, biology, physics, ergonomics. Okay, this word even today many of us don't know, or some of us know. Okay, this is a very in order to explain this concept of ergonomics, I have to put a video there. But in simple terms, the ergonomists were the people who design the equipment or the task, machine, work style, considering the limitation of human beings. So whenever these ergonomists go to design, what they do, they have to design a workplace, workstation to make jobs easier for you. Okay, this is not an easy term, so let's go to see the video to understand. Okay, अभी हम लोग डिस्कस किया सेफ्टी क्या होता है, सेफ्टी साइंस क्या होता है, और ये सेफ्टी साइंस हमको कहाँ से मिलेगा हमारे जिंदगी में. जब तक हम जैसे हम लोग आगे बढ़ते हैं, ये ज्ञान हमारा बढ़ते जाता है. वी डोंट स्टॉप विद सेफ्टी, वी ग्रो अवर नॉलेज. तो ये हमारे किससे आ जाए, केमिस्ट्री बायोलॉजी से आ जाएगा, आपकी जो पढ़ाई फिजिक्स से आएगा, और एरोग्नॉमिक्स. अभी एरोग्नॉमिक्स क्या चीज है, तो एरोग्नॉमिक्स के बारे में आपको मैं एक वीडियो से बताऊंगा क्या चीज है, तो उसको ध्यान से देखिए, आपको समझ में आएगा. सो लेट्स गो टू सी व्हाट एरोग्नॉमिक्स इज ऑल अबाउट. ओके,
What is the measure of progress? Is it by creating a newest?
Okay, that's an idea. So you should have an idea about ergonomics and environmental science. What do you mean environmental science? We need to know, have the knowledge about pollution sources like the control, waste, hazard, disposable impact. Whenever we go to environmental science, we always talk about impact and aspect. Okay, what do you mean by impact and aspect? Any job we do, any task undertaken, first and foremost, they need an environmental clearance. So whenever any actions which we do in order as an industry, it has an impact on the environment. Okay, like for example, when you are washing a car, you are using a cleaning agent to wash your car, you are potentially impacting the environment with water pollution. Similarly, use of water, you are impacting the natural resources. So this aspect, your aspects of some activity having an impact on the environment. Can be water, can be natural resources, can be air, can be groundwater. If you are heating something, emissions from the boiler as an aspect, it is creating air pollution. So all job as an industry, when we do something, we definitely harm the environment. So as an environmentalist, what we need to do to protect the environment. So you should have an understanding of the environment as well. ओके सो हमने अभी हम लोग सेफ्टी साइंस में क्या क्या चीज का ज्ञान होना चाहिए, तो हम उसमें केमिस्ट्री, बायोलॉजी हुआ, फिजिक्स हो गया, एग्नॉमिक्स हो गया, एनवायरमेंटल साइंस हुआ और psychology. So you need to know about human behaviors, very important. How person behaves, why do people behave differently when some rules are set, why does someone behave, like for example, we need to ask why does Charlie in our safety moment behave in a different way. So Charlie behavior before the accident was different, after the accident was different. So this is also, you need to have an understanding of people. The better you understanding of the people, the better the HSC will be. Physiology, biomechanics and medicine, mechanism of injury and illness. So this is another area of field which you have and should have an understanding. Engineering, business management, economics. So even economics. So we don't say only science, we also have a knowledge about economics. So combination of all these things, you should have an understanding of what is safety science, and what are the ways one way is done. Now, very important. So what is the role of a safety officer? We talked about the safety management. Okay. So our role is to identify hazards. Now, what is a hazard? Let's see the definition here. The thing can cause or contribute to accident, illness, fire, explosion, similar undesirable are called hazards. So basically, hazards is anything which has the potential to cause you injury or harm. For example, a pen. A pen can be a hazard. Yes, a pen can be a hazard. If I take a pen I kept in the pocket, will it harm me? There's a less chance that the pen might harm me. But if I point the pen to somebody else, the harm is there. Okay. So basically, it is anything which has the potential to cause injury or harm. What matters is the severity. If I use a pen, point a pen at you, the severity might be high. If I just throw a pen, the severity might be less. So as a HSC, you need to have an understanding of the hazards. So each activity, you need to know the hazards. Okay, we also have, now we know about the other terms, hazard. So as an HSC, you know now what a hazard means. In simple terms, anything which can cause injury or harm. See, safety professional must know the most effective ways, which is ALAP. Okay, in an industry, as a safety profession, we use the word called ALAP, A-L-A-P-R-P. It means as low as reasonably practical. So our suggestion as an HSC or as a safety should be giving something which balances cost and safety, something which we can achieve with the cost in hand. Yeah, so that's why we use the word ALAP. So whenever you make a suggestion, you need to consider the type of company, the various resources you have available, and how you can effectively and practically achieve something rather than making a hypothetical assumption. Lastly, without safety science, safety professional rely on guesswork, methodology, thumb. Guesswork हो सकता है, नहीं हो सकता है. Okay? So hazard क्या चीज है? Hazard कोई भी चीज जो आदमी को खतरा पहुंचा सकता है. एक पेन, अगर हम पेन को जेब में डालेंगे तो उससे खतरा नहीं है, कम खतरा है. अगर वही पेन अगर किसी को पॉइंट करे तो उसमें उसको चोट लगने का खतरा है. Okay, this is, so you should have an understanding on these matters. Now the question we ask, okay, why safety? Safety की क्या जरूरत है? Safety इतना कॉमन है तो इसका जरूरत क्या है? Right? हमको सेफ्टी प्रोफेशन इसको एक नौकरी बनाने की क्यों जरूरत पड़ी? See, I have posted some photos at the bottom. You can see those areas where people worked in earlier times when safety was virtually zero. Okay, many years people died, and because there was no rules to protect them. So when the rules came to protect them, then the safety came to focus. Apart from protecting people, company has a role on HSE. Why company goes for safety? Is there a need for safety? I care for my safety. I should follow the rules. As simple as that, right? So in true sense, it makes a good business sense. If okay, so injuries and ill health from current working condition has cost impact. So if a guy is injured, what happens? If one guy gets injured, the work is stopped. There is a cost impact for the guy, hospitalization, the injury, treatment. People are not working. So company had suffered because of an injury. The organization failed to function or do their task on that particular day. Worst case scenario, if someone dies, God forbid, if something goes wrong, someone gets amputated, the employers, the company, the owners will go to jail. So because they have a duty of care. If an employer hires you, it is his duty to make sure that he gives you the proper protection. He gives you the proper PPE or the personal protection to make your job safer, and he gives you the condition to do the job safer. So the employees may be facing criminal prosecution, claims for compensation. People might claim compensation for losses. If there is an environmental impact, the company has to pay millions. Adverse public addressing, the company may have a bad reputation. Okay, so these are and non-compliance to legal requirements. So all these factors, the company get defend. No company wants to have a bad name. No company wants to lose money just by having injuries and all those things. So it has to strike a balance between achieving production and making the job safety. So it's a good business sense to have HSC as a aspect of work. Okay, अभी हम लोग बोले कि सेफ्टी की क्यों जरूरत है कंपनी को. अगर हम लोग अपनी खुद की सेफ्टी देख सकते हैं तो कंपनी को सेफ्टी डिपार्टमेंट रखने की क्या जरूरत है. अगर सब अपनी सेफ्टी से काम करें तो कुछ चोट लगने का खतरा नहीं. तो इसलिए कंपनी की जिम्मेदारी होती है कि जो भी आदमी को ड्यूटी काम पे लाए उसको सुरक्षा का सामान दे और एक कंडीशन दे जाके उसको अपना काम सुरक्षा से करे. हर कंपनी का अपना जिम्मेदारी होता है. अगर ये सब नहीं करे तो जो भी कंपनी के ओनर्स है, शेयर होल्डर्स है, उन लोग को जेल हो सकती है, कंपनी को बंद किया जा सकता है. सो एज ए गुड बिजनेस सेंस, सेफ्टी टुगेदर विद प्रोटेक्शन मेक्स a good protection for people. Now the next topic, where safety professionals work. Okay, this is a data based on 2000 BCSP, Board of Certified Safety Professionals. This is a analysis from USA. Okay, as per the analysis, as you can see, it says that manufacturing and production 19%, petrochemical 15%, transportation 2%, other industry 9%, utilities communication 4%, insurance 22%, government 9%, construction 5%, consultant 15%. So in manufacturing, if you look on the table on the right, 25 is related to the process industry, chemicals and construction. So 39% of HSC professionals related to construction process industry. If you come to the middle industry, the percentage might be more higher. Okay, so it tells you the areas where the HSC professionals work. Okay, इस टेबल में हमको मालूम पड़ता है कि सेफ्टी प्रोफेशनल कहाँ पे काम करते हैं. ये टेबल जो है जो अमेरिकन बेस्ड बॉडी है, उसके तरफ से ये स्टैटिस्टिक्स है, उससे हमको ये सब लोकेशन पे इस तरह के डिवीजन में काम किया जाता है. Now the most important thing, what safety professional do? You told about safety hazard, so what you do, guys? What you are doing? Tell us. Now, safety profession is not as simple as telling one thing. Each action has a profession in itself. What safety guys does, each one you can be a profession. You can grow into that profession. You can be a master into that profession. For example, just for you to give a glimpse. See, when we do for hazard recognition, we use something called the risk matrix. As you can see here, the risk matrix is based on consequence to people, asset, environment, and reputation. In simple terms, we call it PER, peer. People, P for people, E for environment, A for asset, R for reputation. So consequence. So we have a table which is giving the consequence and probability. Okay, so for example, I'll give a simplest example is somebody walking at 30-meter height. If you're walking at 30-meter height and there is no protection, what are the chances of fall? The chances of fall are high. The guy is gonna fall. the probability of falling is very high. So the guy is definitely going to fall. And the severity, death, maximum, he might die. So if I look at this matrix, single fatality 4, probability has occurred. So in such scenario, you can be 4C. We'll say it's 4C. Okay. Now we say, okay, you're walking 30-meter height. You have put the fall protection. You use the harness. So what we have done? We have reduced the probability. Okay. As I said, I'm giving you the feel of the profession. So you have reduced the probability of harm, but severity remains the same. So even if the guy were to fall, he will die. So as an HSE profession, we aim to reduce the hazards. You can see at the right side, we have something called the how we reduce hazard. Our aim as an HSE is something is that we need to eliminate it. How to eliminate it? Guys, is there a need to go into the confined space? Somebody has to do a confined. No, we can do the job ourselves. So you have eliminated this one. Substitute the hazard. Okay, if you are using a hazardous substance, guy, can we do something different? Can you use a non-hazardous product? Yes, it can be done. So what you have done, instead of using the product A, you have gone for product B. Isolate. You are working in something which can harm you. So you can isolate the activity close by a chamber and do that. Engineering controls. Okay, now we also call it permit to work. Engineering controls is also sometimes used as a permit to work. What is permit to work? I will not go in detail, but you need to just make a note that also permit to work is one of the major elements here. Administrator and then PP. The PP is our last. Why PP last? That is the last, beyond which we have nothing to tell. If I don't have it, if I cannot eliminate a hazard to 0, it will come to PP. There is no more protection after that. So PP is the last line of defense for safety. That's all. Now, as I said, each line you have a profession. So if I want to go into this profession, what do I need to have? Okay, see, you can be a risk engineer. You can master these subjects. HSE, if you want to be HSE, you can be a risk engineer. As you can see, experience in HSCI. HSCI is basically health, safety, environment, impact assessment. It's taking all the elements of environment, HSE, and reviewing process. The applicant must have an experience and independently execute HSCI and risk management studies. The applicant must have had the risk management tool. What we discussed was the simplest of risk management tool. Okay, as a profession into this profession, you will go advancing to understand what QRA stands for, quantity risk assessment, FERA, fire explosion risk assessment, emergency escapes risk review, smoking risk. So it goes advanced from simple calculation, what we did of a guy walking at height, and something which go to advanced level this one. So you can grow into this profession to be a risk engineer. Okay, तो हम लोग बता रहे थे कि सेफ्टी प्रोफेशनल क्या क्या करते हैं. तो फर्स्ट एंड फॉरमोस्ट हमारा सेफ्टी वालों का काम है हजार्ड रिकग्निशन. जो भी हजार्ड को हम लोग को जानना है और खत्म करना है, बदलना है, आइसोलेट करना है. और उसके बाद भी अगर हम लोग कुछ नहीं कर पाते तो पीपी करते हैं. पीपी स्टैंड्स फॉर पर्सनल प्रोटेक्टिव इक्विपमेंट. There's another word for HSE which you know about now. So many terms we have touched, so that gives you a feel of the HSE. और इसके अलावा इसमें अगर आपको कैरियर बनाना है तो ये आपको रिस्क इंजीनियर की अपॉर्चुनिटी है. दिस इज ए कंसल्टिंग जॉब रिक्वायरिंग 5 to 8 years of experience. So if अगर आपको इसके अंदर एक प्रोफेशन बनाना है तो इसी लाइन में रिस्क हजार्ड एडिशन आप एक प्रोफेशन बना सकते हैं. Okay, what else we do? Okay, this is okay. Thank you, Mr. Abdul. Very nice. What else you do? Tell us. This is the only thing you do, guys. While I speak, okay, I'm into smile now because many people till today do not know what HSE does. You ask HSE, you'll see me out of 10, maybe 5 people will look at you whether what the hell is talking about. Okay, inspection audit. What do you mean by inspection? Okay, just to get the feel, I have put a photo here. As you can look at the photo here, you can see various example. If you can see my the mouse here, this person is walking. There's a water there. He can slip, trip, and fall. Okay, you can see the guy who are making work here. There's no proper ergonomics to do the jobs. The guy with the forklift, his vision is blocked. He can hit the person. This machine's over here. There is no guard. Somebody can put his hand. He can cut his hand. Okay, so by the look of it, you know. And what else? The emergency exit here is blocked, right? So this is as an HSE profession. When we go to inspect an area, we identify these hazards. We make sure that people take this hazard into consideration and take precaution. Now, what is when we go to audits? We are talking about 2 major audits here. Which is, since I am focusing on HSE, I'll tell you about HSE audits, which is health and safety. ISO 14,000 and ISO 45,000. Okay, I'm just touching these 2 points because I have a reason to do so. So if you need to be an ISO 14,000 deals with environment, ISO 45,000 deals with safety. Now, once you advance your career into this profession, you can be an auditor. You can be a professional IRCA certified auditor just by attending this 5-day course. This course is 5 days only, but then you should have the safety science to get you through. Attending this course 5 days, you will be able to audit. People will call you for audits. For example, as an auditor, if I go give an example here, as the auditor comes to visit a facility, he found that the emergency exit was blocked. He reviewed the previous record and he found that this audit finding was noted by previous guy and still it is pending. So what, as an auditor, what I will do? I'll give them non-conformity. What is non-conformity? Not complying to a standard, not complying to a standard rule. So I'll tell, okay, as per clause 8.2, emergency response, periodically testing and exercise, response, the company is not doing this one. Okay, the reason why companies call auditors was a different set of eyes. When you're working with hazards, we don't see the risk involved. So it's a company call if professional eyes to look into the system and advise them. Okay, so now if you grow into this profession, what you can become? You can be HSC MS auditor. Okay, see another profession, hazard identification, you can be a risk engineer. By doing this audit, you can be HSC MS auditor. Okay, certified. This is from the government organizations. Yeah? Certified lead auditor from recognized association, OSAS 18,000. Okay, we talk about 14,000. OSAS 18,000 is the British standard, which is replaced by a better standard, which we talk about, which is ISO 45,000. So if you go for going forward, I'm sure nobody is going to ask you for OSAS 18,000. So if anybody is doing OSAS 18,000, need to reconsider this one. Because there's a better course, which is ISO 45,000, which is a master course than OSAS. So still it is prevailing in the job profiles of companies, but I'm sure over time, OSAS 18,000, nobody will be doing it. You got a better one, ISO 45,000. So you can be an auditor. Now somebody tells me, what is the identity of auditor? Okay, go to somebody, this one. You can carry this profession post-retirement. Once you go 60, company says, you Baba, goodbye, go sleep. Right? But if you are an auditor, which is registered as per IRCA, I as a company will go, which auditor is near my place? Okay, Tabriz is there. Let me call Tabriz. Tabriz, I have a 5-day audit. Can you join us? No, I need so and so money. I need $50,000. Okay, no problem. 5 days, we can give you the money. So you can be a professional. See, imagine beyond 60, you go for 5 days, you make money. So you can grow into this profession as well. You can be a principal auditor in HSC. Okay, अभी हम लोग दूसरा प्रोफेशन का बात कर रहा था जो इंस्पेक्शन ऑडिट में. तो इंस्पेक्शन ऑडिट में हम लोग क्या करते हैं, कोई भी जगह पे उसका हम लोग मुआयना करते हैं, कोई भी जो सेफ्टी रिलेटेड जो खतरा है उसको हम लोग उसको हाईलाइट करके उसको सॉल्व करने की कोशिश करते हैं. और ऑडिट में हमारे कुछ स्टैंडर्ड्स है, विच इज ISO 45,000 एंड ISO 14,000. 45,000 सेफ्टी स्टैंडर्ड है और 14,000 एनवायरमेंटल स्टैंडर्ड है. तो अगर कोई भी एनवायरमेंट फील्ड में है तो उसको ISO 14,000 का ज्ञान होना चाहिए. 45,000 अगर कोई सेफ्टी फील्ड में है उसको 45,000 का, दोनों का ज्ञान मिला के आपको HSC का ज्ञान. सो ऑल प्रोफेशनल, इफ यू आस्क मी, if you want to be HSC professional, you should have these 2 things. Believe me, it add values. If you want to grow, ये 2 चीज होना चाहिए. तो हमारा ऑडिटर का काम होता है, कोई भी जगह पे हम लोग जाके ऑडिट करना है, कोई भी जगह उसका क्लॉज के हिसाब से नॉन कंफर्मिटी देना है. ओके, इसमें भी अगर आपको कैरियर बनाना है तो आप इसमें ऑडिटर बन सकते हैं सेफ्टी केस में. ठीक है, एक बार आप सर्टिफाइड ऑडिटर हो गए तो आपको फिर IRCA में एग्जाम पर रजिस्टर होना है और जो भी कंपनी को ऑडिटर चाहे वो डायरेक्टली उस आपको टच करके वो ये कर सकती है. Okay, very good, Mr. Very nice. So safety guys are now what is fire protection, reducing fire hazards by inspection, layout of facility and process and design of fire detection and suppression system. What is suppression system? You're trying to eliminate the source of fire. Either you are removing the oxygen, either you are removing the fuel. So these are, if you are using water, you're making cooling effect. By cooling effect, you're suppressing the fire. Okay, there are various modes. As an industry, we need to understand that water, for example, use of water. Now I'm using a suppression system. If I use a sprinkler water in a house, yes, it can add value. We'll go to see a video where having a sprinkler with water. For example, I have a substation. There are lots of electrical equipment. There are a lot of sensitive items. I cannot just spray water into that. I need to have a different system. What adding water, I'm just putting more danger to my electrical substation. I'm causing a chance of personal safety, and also I'm damaging asset. So as an industry, they have developed various techniques. Okay, like for example, we'll be seeing in the Energen system. Earlier, the Energen system, there was the CO2 system. People take CO2, where in a room, you discharge CO2, and what it does, it will eliminate oxygen or reduce the oxygen. So with technology, we advance, and now we have something called the Energen system. Now, what is the energy system? Just have a look into the video to give you a glimpse of what these are the things which we install into our electrical substations. Okay, where there is sensitive equipment, where in case of a fire, the discharge will not will eliminate fire. At the same time, it will protect the assets. So let's go to see what suppression system is all about.
An Energen clean agent fire suppression system is both innovative and flexible in design. Energen is a combination of 3 naturally occurring inert gases from the Earth's atmosphere. It is comprised of 52% nitrogen, 40% argon, and 8% carbon dioxide, common components of the air we breathe. Energen is stored in a series of steel cylinders located outside of the protected areas. When smoke, heat, or particulates are detected, an electronic signal is sent to the Autopulse control unit, triggering a series of critical actions. Audio and visual alarms are started. The ventilation systems are closed off. After the prescribed time-delayed period, the Autopulse control unit energizes the electric actuator on the Energen cylinder valve. The cylinder valve opens, allowing the Energen agent to discharge from the storage cylinders. In places where Energen is protecting more than one room, a unique selector valve is used to direct the system discharge into the appropriate zone. A check valve is used in a selector valve system to separate the discharge of one zone from the other zone by preventing the Energen flow to the main system cylinders. Simultaneously, one or more pressure switches can be actuated to pneumatically operate electrical circuits to close doors, trigger alarms, and turn on or off equipment. The Energen agent is then distributed throughout the piping network. In overhead installations, nozzles are fitted with a deflector shield to direct the agent flow into the hazard. These specifically designed nozzles quickly discharge Energen into the protected zone. As the Energen clean agent completely floods the protected area, the oxygen content in the air is diluted below 15%, suppressing the fire hazard. This oxygen level is safe for people in occupied spaces, while it will not support combustion. Safe, effective, and environmentally harmless, Energen is the clean agent that works.
Similarly, as you can see here, when it comes to sprinkler head, what is the importance of a sprinkler? I'm going to show you a 5-minute video, but it is something which we need to really look at, take an attention about to understand what the importance of fire protection at how good it can be. If a fire protection is in place, what protection it can give to me. So I'll share a new one example with you. It's a 5-minute video, but it will give you an importance of why fire sprinklers are important, what add value it can create if you have a safety system in the industry, in the homes, in some cases. So what it can add value. So let's go to understand having a fire sprinkler does really add a value as a safety. Do I really, as a company, do I really need to have fire sprinkler? Imagine I have a warehouse or I have something as a manager. Do you think I need fire sprinklers are important. It's a 5-minute video.
A house
but
fire can
so
become
I just
deadly
put it
in
here.
2
It will take us
minutes.
some time.
The fire burns hot and fast. It creates toxic smoke that spreads throughout the house. You are about to experience 2 fires in 2 rooms that were set up with identical furnishings. The rooms are the same size, same windows and doors. The fires in both rooms were ignited with incombustible materials commonly found in typical living rooms. One room is protected with a home fire sprinkler. The other is not. This is the room that does not have a fire sprinkler. After the fire starts, it quickly moves up the curtain and spreads to the furniture. The smoke alarm activates at 24 seconds. Look above you and behind you. The smoke is thick and dark. There is nothing to stop the fire, so it builds strength, generating heat and producing poisonous smoke until flashover, the point at which everything in the room ignites. Watch for that when the timer reads 2 minutes. No one can survive flashover. Look around. Everything is destroyed by the extreme heat and smoke. Remember the flashover? There would be only seconds for the family to escape a fire before flashover. The destruction in this room makes it clear the home is uninhabitable and a complete loss. This room is protected with 1 fire sprinkler in the ceiling. As the curtain catches fire, note how fast the flames spread. Watch the timer. At 26 seconds, smoke activates the smoke alarm. Find the sprinkler in the ceiling. At 37 seconds, high heat from the fire activates the sprinkler, controlling the fire and preventing it from becoming deadly. Only the heat from fire activates the sprinkler, not smoke. In a typical house fire, only 1 sprinkler will activate. Take a close look at the room after the sprinkler activated. There is very little damage. The room is wet, but intact. Look around the room. If a family were sleeping, the sprinkler would have given them time to safely escape. The fire is confined to the room of origin, and the family would likely be able to stay in the home or move back into the home in a few days.
see, so as a fire department, you just notice what the importance of sprinklers are there. We have a fire department team whose role is to attend in case of an emergency. They have to fight the fire and also rescue. They are also responsible. The fire team is also responsible managing the hydrant system. This is called the hydrant system. The fire alarm, the hose reel, smoke detector, sprinklers, hose box, and fire monitor. So this is the safety role of our the fire team, which is part of our HSC safety department in our company or any other company which is there. Now you can also make a career in fire engineer. You can be a fire protection engineer. A series of qualification you need to have to be a fire engineer. You can be a certified fire protection specialist, and you can have one of the qualification which is required by NFPA. So you can be also go into this profession to be a fire engineer. Okay, this extract was taken from a government-based company in Saudi Arabia. So these are the requirements which they are asking for within their company. So this profession also you can make a profession out of it as well. Ergonomics. I think we talked about ergonomics, and also we have time at our hand, but we'll just read through this one to familiarize what I was talking about. So ergonomists, also called as human factors engineers, specialize in the relationship between people and their work. They design the work environment such as facilities, machines, furniture, equipment, workstation, tools, and work method to match job demand with worker capability, limitation, and expectation. Okay, guys, this is something like how our control room looks, or any control room should look like. Okay, ergonomists are the people who design such control rooms. Okay, the reason why the control room is ergonomists are involved in designing, because we want the error to be 0 or less than 0. So the human error should be eliminated. So they need to design a workstation, considering the human limitation, considering the task on hand, to be able, so people are able to do a job. So as you can see, this is basically a we call it MCR, or control room, where the panel operators of an oil and gas company sit. They have same panels. You can see the panels with them are similar to the ones which you are seeing here. So ergonomics people are consultant, and they design and help us in the designing as well. Okay, ergonomist is not a human factor. It is not an easy profession. It is a highly skilled job. So it's just I got a figure from this website. So average salary ergonomics specialist earn in UAE is 259,000 dirhams per year. Okay, this is just a survey, and there is a possibility that within 5 years there will be 28% increase in the people who go into this profession. Again, this is a very highly sophisticated, a specialist profession. If people want to pursue, they can go into this profession. Okay, accident investigation. We are also involved in accident investigation. Okay, we have something called in simple investigation. Oh, the simplest form of investigation, we say 1 husband, 5 wives. Okay, this is how the simplest. If you don't know investigation, you should know the 5 things. You should have 1 husband, 5 wives. What do you mean 1 husband, 5 wives? So are you joking? What it means? Okay, 1 husband, when I say it is how, who, what, why, where, when. If you are able to answer these basic things, you have an investigation report in place. As a safety officer, you have done the minimum. Okay, there are more advanced detail we need to know, like immediate causes, root causes, but these are the basics. Any accident happen, you need to tell us about these things. For example, you can take an example here. As you can see here, what happened? One person while crossing the road hit the car hit him. He got injured. When happened? It happened on morning 10:30. Where along the main section road. Who was involved? The 2 people, one on the driver and another one passing by. Why it happened? The guy failed to follow the traffic. There was no. He should not have crossed the road. Is it really a root cause? As a root cause, as an investigator, you need to go deep down. What made the man cross the road? Are there enough pedestrian crossing there? No, there is no pedestrian. So one of the root causes, there is no proper pedestrian crossing along the route. Of course, an individual error. So as an investigation, you have to go deep. The more question you ask, the more answer you get. Investigation is a very skillful job. If you people who have the understanding on investigation, the more why you ask, you have to constantly asking why. You will come to know how the investigation is done. Now you can also have a career in this one. You can be the top most investigator if you want. Okay, how I become investigator? Now this is also from the oil and gas company, from government. You should have a BSc degree or equivalent in engineering safety with at least 15 years. Guys, I'm not going through all the contents because we will be sharing with you all this presentation. So you can go through this presentation at your leisure. So, and you'll know, and some of the videos also I will not be sharing as we go ahead. You can watch this. So I'm not going in detail onto this, but just to touch. So one of the most important cause we ask for investigation is taproot. Anywhere you got, the people say, I have done investigation. They will ask, you have taproot? Okay, if you want to professionalize yourself, go into a career in investigation, you can do this course. And the years of experience, you can grow and you can be an investigation. Right, what else? Okay, that's it. What else safety guys done? We also have hazard control program. Okay, what do you mean hazard control program? Okay, guys, in the front, you can see there are two tables here. One table is about the gas. For example, let's take an benzene and ammonia, ethylene, toluene. There is called permissible exposure limit. Okay, ppm, which is parts per million. TWA, STL. What is TWA? Time weighted average. Okay, that means a guy who is exposed to that chemical for a duration of 8 hours in a shift. Okay, for example, there is ammonia gas. Can a guy work as per safety standard? You say, no, there is ammonia gas, go home, not allowed. No, he can continue working, provided he respected the permissible limit. He can work for a period of 8 hours. Okay, now you want to go to STL. What is STL? Short-term exposure limit. Meaning a guy exposed to a hazardous substance for 15 minutes. So in such a scenario, ammonia 35 ppm, benzene you can be exposed to 5 ppm. Okay, these are the things, health hazards. People see what they need to do if there's a hazard related to a product and how you're going to contain it, eliminate it, or avoid exposure to this chemical. Similarly, noise, as you can see here on the right hand side. Okay, just to this permissible exposure limit, recommended exposure limit is basically the same thing. PPA, this PEL is related to OSHA. What is OSHA? We'll talk later. And NIOSH is so they are basically the American bodies on health and safety, which have designed their own. For example, noise. If you want to work in a noise atmosphere, you can work for 8 hours for 85 decibels as per NIOSH, 90 decibel as per OSHA. Anything beyond that, you need what? As I said, if the hazard cannot be controlled, the last thing we look at is PPE. You need to have ear protection. In case you don't have, the noise is loud, you need to have, we call double ear protection. Put earplugs and then put them off on top. Okay, because you are not able to eliminate the hazard, so but you are trying to eliminate it by PPE or minimize it. Okay, basically the people who do this job are industrial hygienists. Now, this is also a very skillful job, industrial hygienist. I call it the detectives. They are the industrial, like you have a doctor, he checks a body and tells you the illness. These are the people, these are our doctors at site. They go to evaluate case by case scenario. Their job is to evaluate, understand the hazard or recognize the hazard of the health. So there comes there, they take samples, they try to understand. For example, they'll come to your office, they will take the air quality monitoring. They will take various samples and they'll say, oh, the air quality monitoring is showing presence of so and so products. Yeah, so we need to look at ways to eliminate the hazards. So they are trying to, before you are exposed, the hazard come to know, these are the people who help you out. For example, we don't want to reach a stage where people exposed to chemical die after a prolonged illness because we did not identify or the industry failed to identify. So industrial hygiene is another skillful job. You know, this is a highly skilled job. So if you want to be an industrialist, you can also get in. But this one, you need to have bachelor's degree in health science, engineering, and medicine. You need to also be a member of affiliated bodies. So you can also be an industrial hygienist. So as we provide, okay, now there are many more. I'm not going in detail of each one of them, but there are many more. If you want to grow a career in emergency response, you need to know in case of an emergency in a plant, what is our response? How quickly are we going to take the action? Or how we going to how the team will be formed? What is the forms of communication? Who will be the incident commander? Who will be the crisis manager? How you going to maintain the business continuity? Okay, so if you want to have a career, there are also opportunities. Now, as I said, you can also be EMT, emergency medical technician. is if you want to be an is a specialist course where the guys
Due to some technical error, there is Abdul Quddus Bhai is disconnected. He will join shortly. Just wait for 2 minutes.
okay, sorry, we got the disconnection there. Okay. Tabrez, you can see the screen.
Yeah, we can see the screen.
Hey guys, we reach 1 hour, but at least we go to the most important point for which you are here. Okay, the reason what you wanted to hear. Since I wanted to give you the feel of the profession, I went in detail. But now, what you're going to listen, if you are not attentive, you can be attentive now to what I'm going to say. This is very important, and this may add value to your profession if you want to go into this profession. Okay. Just before I was talking about advising management. If you are in the safety professional, you need to be taking decisions on behalf of the management. People look on HSC for decisions. If something is wrong, they will not. Worker will not call the manager. They will call the HSC team. HSC guys, this happened. What we need to do? So a HSC guy has to be very smart, very tactful, and he need to take decisions. If you cannot take decision, you may fail in this profession. So you need to be somebody who takes decision. Record keeping, evaluating, managing safety plan, regulatory compliance. Another very important function is the regulatory compliance. Now, guys, this is a very important slide. Okay. Now, I have taken this slide from one of the oil and gas company, government company, and just to tell you what are their expectations. Okay, what that company wants from us in HSC. Okay, as an HSC, as you can see, you need to have 4 things. You need to be academically strong. You need to have HSC recognized qualification. You need to have accredited courses, and you need to be a member of some body. Now, what do you mean member of some body? I give an example. Imagine you have a worker who works 20 years in the same company, similar jobs, and you have one employee who works in another company 12 years, but he works in 3 organizations. Whom are you going to choose? You're going to choose a guy who works in 3 different organizations, 12 years of experience, and not somebody who has 20 years who has master. Why? Because 20 years is somebody who worked in an industry for 20 years doing the same job. That 2 years he learned. He learned everything in those 2 years. 18 years he has mastered what he's doing. Okay. So you need somebody to recognize you. Somebody who need to tell you, yes, this so-and-so guy, he worked for 30 years, 40 years. And who does that? The accredited bodies, recognition. That's why it's very important to have an accreditation to recognize body. Like see here, IOSH. IOSH is one of the most Institute of Occupational Safety and Health. They are giving you membership. Yet it comes at a cost. You need to pay a yearly annual fee. But then, if you need to grow, if I, for example, if I tell somebody I am Charter IOSH, the moment I look within, oh, you're Charter IOSH, wow, excellent. Because I know that to come to this stage, he has to go through various paths. Okay, he need to consider so many levels. He need to maintain his CPD, continuous professional development. Okay, so what does this company need now? If you want to be HSE manager, lead HSE environment specialist, HSE engineer, safety industrial engineer, so what they're asking? They're asking bachelor's degree in engineering or master of science academically. Okay, now you see here I have divided the HSE regulation in two parts: European based, American Canadian based. Okay, NIBOSH certified diploma, I diploma. This is BSc, British Safety Council. NIBOSH is National Education Board of Occupational Safety, and this is UK based, Europe. So anybody having this qualification, they can easily get a job in Middle East, Europe. There's no issue. But if you're going for America, we'll ask you for CSP. What is CSP? Certified Safety Professional. ASP, Associate Safety Professional. Or if you're going to Canada, they'll ask you for CRSP. Okay, what is CRSP? Canadian Registered Safety Professionals. So, for example, if you need to go to this, you need to do this course. If, for example, you want to go to Canada, they might ask you for the CRSP. Without that, they will not entertain you. Similarly, you want to go to Australia, maybe they will not accept you all these courses. They will ask you for the Australian accredited courses. So, if you need to progress your career into these destinations, for example, Australia, you need to do the course which is accredited to there. Okay, now I'm focusing on this one, but these are also the drawbacks of this profession. Okay, then what is, if you're doing NIBOSH certificate diploma, I diploma, BSc, okay, if you have this qualification, very good, excellent. But is this enough? No, you need to have this another two. Without that, will not, you are handicapped. You cannot, if it's like your one hand cut. If you have these two and not two, it's not going to add value. You need to also have the remaining two. Now, OSHA, European giving you OSHA 18,000. As I said to you, this is going to be obsolete over time. We have a better standard, which is 45,000, which is the same standard, which is much more advanced and technically. So people are going to go for this one. They need to consider 45,000 as a choice. So if you are doing this, you can also have American courses from ASSE. Okay, American Society of Safety Engineers. Okay, the ISO is from UN, International Standard Organization. As you know, for many years there was ISO 9000. We know this one is by heart. 9001 is not. Then later on in the industry evolved, and there was ISO 14,000. Okay, since there was no safety standard for management system, we use OSHA's 18,000 because there was no support. As OSHA was based on ISO 14,000, it was easy to adapt. But as of today, the ISO has developed a very better standard, which is 45,000. So you can pursue a profession as well as a career. Now, you need, as I said, you need to be recognized. I work 30 years, one job, that's it, routinely doing this one. I have 30 years of experience. But as a company, for me, you have 2 years of experience to doing a job in the same profession. So you need something to recognize. So as you grow, that you can be grow. Charter member, there is a fellow age. There is more advanced version than that, which is fellow. If you reach that level, that's the extreme. So anybody ask you, I'm fellow IS, whoa, that's amazing. Okay, you can be an IRCA auditor. As I said, IRCA. What is IRCA? Okay, IRCA is a body which is International Register of Certificate Bodies. IRCA not only gives safety qualification, but also accredits many other things. So if you have IRCA certified auditing course, excellent. So now IRCA means you need to register for IRCA. Okay, if you want to register, you have to pay a fee. You have to grow as a auditor to lead auditor. You have to submit your dossier, documentation, and grow into this profession. So as we told, each profession, each line has a profession itself, right? So now going back, now you don't have a bachelor's degree in engineering. What else? So they are also given the option. You should have bachelor's degree in science or diploma in engineering or high school accreditation. So you can also get this one. So now you see, I put this optional. If you are going for safety environment, HSE officer, supervisor, HSE qualification optional. Okay, but as my recommendation is for you to do, is not difficult to do. If you are able to do this two is nothing. Industrial hygiene officer. Okay, this is a very complicated position. You need to be skilled. So it's a Bachelor of Science, degree in physics, chemistry, biology, or environmental science, diploma in industrial hygiene, or diploma in mechanical engineering, nursing, or civil, along with diploma or equivalent specialization. Okay, now accredited course. You need to what? You need to have successfully completed minimum one certified industrial hygiene course that meets criteria of American Board of Industrial Hygienists, ABIH. Must have completed minimum of training module by Bosch, Bureau of Occupational Safety and American Industrial Hygienists. Okay, these are the qualification levels and accreditation you need to have. Now you can also be a trainer. Okay, as per this company, they're asking for 10 years. And in bracket, I have put 5 years. So 15 years, 5 years oil and gas, 12 years, 5 oil and gas, 10 years, 3 oil and gas. Okay. This is what the company has demanded, but not necessarily people get as per the demand. There's also other ways people can get into this. As a trainer, must have completed 2 or more certified HSC courses, must be certified instructor, tutor, trainer for instructor body or American Society of Safety Engineers, etc. Okay, this is what if you are working in the Middle East, if you are working in UK, Canada, these are the people. If you have this thing, you are the number one. People will go for you, they will hire you this one. Now again, see, there is nothing difficult. If you look at this qualification courses, you may be, once you have the academic background, like NIBOS certificate, 2-day course, diploma, 5-day course, you can do in a 1-day. So these are not big courses. They are generally ranging from 3 to 5 days to 10 days. Okay, so don't think as a big course. The only challenge is once you get this course, you need to join this accreditation and maintain their CPD, continue professional development. You need to prove to this organization that you are continuously progressing into this profession. So these courses are as simple. It's simple to get this course. You can do it. It's nothing harm. People going for that, but the only challenge is growing into this profession, getting the accreditation, getting the recognition to go into this profession. Okay, 7. If you are in India, if you are 10th and 12th, you need a diploma in fire and safety will do for a 1 year. If you are graduate any field, postgraduate diploma in fire and safety. And now this is the NIBOSH of India. Okay. If you have ADIS, it is also accepted in the oil and gas company, which I quoted. Okay, but to this one, now diploma, the only people who has diploma, engineering, any branch of engineering are given preference. You should have the people minimum 2 years of experience. If you're a degree holder, 5 years experience. Okay. Now this course is from the RLI, which is the Regional Labour Institute and Central Labour Institute governed by DG FASTI. Okay, what is DG FASTI? Okay, all these courses is related to DG FASTI, which is Directorate General Factories Advice Service Labour Act 1945. They define how the government, how the central, how the state government need to work the factory acts. It also gives you the qualification of safety officers. So this is the most, if you are in India, I don't think they will ask you which NIBOSH you did. They will ask you for this course first. It's not easy. So, and the ADIS, DIS, PGDIS, Administrative Register courses starts June and July. If you have 12 pass with science, you can also go BSc in fire and safety, MSc in fire and safety. These are the courses which you can avail in India. Now, accreditation doesn't stop to what I said, Accreditation courses, there is no limit. If you are in HSC, don't think about sleeping. You cannot say, you have miles to go before you sleep. You cannot just do I did engineering class, I am safety, I'm finished. You will come to a stagnant then you. So it is a growing profession. Every day is changing, guys. Before there was health department, there was safety department, there was environment department. Then they married this department. You had HSC. Before though they function different HSC, now there is a talk about sustainability. Sustainability don't have a father. It is asking HSC, can you take me in? So now we are going, the profession is advancing, it's going more advanced. It doesn't stop. So when you come into this profession, your knowledge doesn't start. It begins. Now is the beginning into that. So as I have given some more examples here, list of accredited courses. If you want to go into incident response, you can have, okay, there are the links here. I will not play the links. I will share the videos. You can be incident response and crisis management. Okay, this is a course for the management. In the case of managing emergency, how they need to do. If you have this course, you have value. Train the trainer. There are various companies which are giving train the trainers. Okay, so train the trainers. Not having the subject knowledge alone is important. How you tackle the issue, how you beat the issue, how you are able to do it better. That's all. You can also be do this course, CFO, Certified Chief Fire Officer, Certified PHA, HAZOP, Taproot Advanced Investigation, Facet Advanced Training. Okay, the software-based training which gives you about how a dispersion is should have taken effect, flammable, toxic, and what are the hackup. If you want to go into catering industry, you can do HSCC course. If you want to go into special lifting, okay, if there is a lifting specialist, okay, for example, if you have a qualification approved by government for lifting, you can be a lifting master. Okay, this is endless. I have just put 7 or 8, but the list is endless. Okay, it doesn't stop. This is just, okay, now I talked about this profession for a length. I told you about the challenges. So I am sure many of you might be thinking that this is a very tough profession. But reality, there are ways. what is in theory practically may not be different. This is a practical link here. What I write in theory for the job, maybe you'll not get it. There is something more. So okay, it doesn't mean that is a tough profession to enter. You can still enter. I have put here 3 categories. One, I want to do it easy way. Willing to put an effort will be the best. Now, if I want to do it easy way means what? Okay, I'm 10. I can do a simple course. IOSH. IOSH is easy. There's no failing. Get this course. The construction industry, what you have, IOSH. Okay, very good. Come along. You can be safety officer. Okay. So it's easy. It's not difficult. Many people, many of our friends, many of our colleagues who are getting better pay, better jobs because they are talented. They have that ability to do better. So it doesn't mean not having academic qualification means puts you down. Yes, you can get a job, but the challenge is the pay. We'll talk about the pay later, but let's go. Now, what is the risk factor if I go easy way? I don't need to have the leadership. I can go with this easy way. Okay, my salary growth in 10 years is 50 to 100%. Am I happy? You will come to a phase of stagnation. After 10 years, you will feel, had I done this course, I will have benefited. Had I done this one, I will have been better. Okay, so money may come easy, but then you come to a point or stage in life, maybe 5 to 10 years, where you look back, oh shit, I should have done this, man. I miss it. So what is the risk factor here? So when you work in this company, people will definitely ask you when you give, okay, this is our HSC manager. He worked 30 years, 40 years, 50 years. Client will ask, no, we need the academic qualification. So this can put you down, you know. So this can come and haunt you actually. Okay, so if you're going the easy way, you can get the pay, you can get everything, but then somewhere down the line, it can pull you down. Okay, now remaining 2 level, I put here there. If you want to put an effort, you want to be a NIBOS certified, you want to specialize. Okay, these are the way you can go to safety manager and higher. Okay, in second level, what is the challenge? There are many people who are qualified as NIBOS and other things. Okay, now it becomes very competitive for somebody to get job. 20 years back, when you were there in the industry, your NIBOS certificate was enough. I'm telling you, if you had NIBOS certificate, people will look down with open eyes. Today, nobody looks at that certificate. We're talking about diplomas and other things because it has become easier. The people are coming to this industry. So always try to go for an edge, make a difference by doing those accredited courses. Now, also I put a salary range based on my experience. Okay, so it is my opinion. The salary I have divided. So if you are going the easy way, you can line into a small company, a subcontractor level. If you're going a better way, you can go into a medium-sized company, and if you want to be the best government. So what's the difference? As a safety officer, you may get between 1,000 to 2,000 dirhams. Same way, if you're having a better qualification, you can go 2,000 to 5,000 dirhams. If you're having more than that, you can go start with 5,000, 7,000. It goes, the bracket goes safety supervisor 2,000. So what he earns as a safety manager in some small company, you can earn from the start. So the difference increases. So always remember that if whenever you choose a path, somewhere down the line it is going to haunt you. If you don't do that extra, or you are happy with what you get, it's up to you. But always remember, if you don't do that extra, it is going to come back to you, haunt you. Maybe not after 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, or maybe after 20 years. Okay, I think that's it from my side. Thank you for your attention. Questions from the team? Tabriz?
Abdul Qudus bhai. There are a few questions I have received from the students. Now, the most important question what many of have asked, that they are already done the NIBOS and IOSH, some of them, but they are still finding it difficult to get a job for the freshers. So how do we tackle this problem? बहुत सारे लोग already इस फील्ड में है, डिप्लोमा कर चुके हैं, निबोश कर चुके हैं, लेकिन जॉब के लिए मसला आ रहा है उनको, फ्रेशर को जॉब मिल नहीं रही है इजीली. तो हाउ वी कैन टैकल दिस?
What is your going into this profession now as an occupational safety? Construction jobs are available in the market. Definitely, you should be able to get a job into construction. Initial 2 years, you need to just go. I always say this one: people going into any profession, guys, when you are in the Gulf, 2 years you have to close your eyes. Whatever comes, you need to take it. I know it is difficult, but at least if you have a NIBOS, For this one, if you want an entry, the only way we can entry is basically by construction industry, which can quickly accept people, and then you can grow into this one. Because if you don't have an exposure of at least 1 to 2 years, people don't look upon you. So if you want to have it, make it difficult for you for initial 2 years, and then things will get better, inshallah.
Okay, inshallah. One more question I have received, that can the 12th grade commerce graduate can achieve the HSC career?
Yeah.
What opportunity he has for
See, as
the
a
12th grade commerce student?
say as a 12th commerce student, first thing you need to, since you don't have that safety science knowledge related to science, you need to build on those accreditation. As a if you're in commerce, you can build, you can be a master, you can do an IRCA certified auditor. You can be a as I if I go to my slide here, see, but the problem is it out of if I say out of 10 people with such background, maybe 3 will are able to go further. So there is growth. I don't say there is no growth. Definitely, if you do NIBOS diploma, you have done your commerce, you have a series of accredited courses to support you, and you have a sound knowledge of English, you have good leadership quality, and you're proficient in MS Office, then definitely when you work as an industry, people see you on this one and they will have. So if you put your CV, maybe it will be difficult for somebody to adapt you. But if you perform by your ability, the client and the people are watching you, and there you can make the difference where they can observe you. So it may be some point, because if you put in paper, it may not be great unless the guy is given an opportunity. So there are opportunities, but at some point it may be, unless not exposed to the client directly or to the people who are recruiting, it may be difficult, because most of the jobs are directly seen based on the what qualification they consider them. So opportunity is there, but then you need to build yourself, build your with more accreditation qualification. If you have, let's say, a NIBOS diploma with 10 accreditation, class, you make the difference, make that little difference among the professions.
Okay. One of the job seeker, he has asked that he has done the diploma in chemical engineering, but he want to pursue the career in health and safety. So he is asking, like, can I go for the NIBOS and start the career in health and safety after doing the chemical engineering diploma?
See, now you just touched upon a very important point. Guys, also for all of you, now many of the people who are going into one profession, they are also making safety as a second career. So if you are into chemical engineering, you have done the diploma, you can also do a safety affiliated courses, and this one you can build on 2 professions. By adding your safety, you are basically making your path for with more professions. So for him, my recommendation will be, okay, as I said, he can go for a NIBOS diploma or CSP, whatever preferred, and he can grow with. You have to build your 4 things here. With academics, I said you need academic is one thing, but you also need your professional HSC qualification. You need the accredited qualification, and you need the membership. So 4 things I say. If you can build on those 4 things, there is no stop. So you need to try to go to build this one. So I have put those in the presentation. You can follow that links and go. For I repeat again, HSC qualification, accredited qualification, then you got the membership. These 3 things you add to your career, you make that difference. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you for that. One of the question I have received from one of our brother Atif, but I could not understand his question. Nabil, can you mute Atif Sane? वो कुछ पूछना चाह रहा है Nabil. Okay. I have unmute Atif Sane. Atif, you can unmute yourself, your mic, and you can ask the question, because I could not understand your question properly. Atif, आप unmute कर सकते हो आपको. Yes, Atif. Atif, you have a question? आप पूछ सकते हो, हिंदी उर्दू कोई भी लैंग्वेज में पूछ सकते हो, नो प्रॉब्लम. आई थिंक अब्दुल कुद्दुस भाई, उसका आतिफ का क्वेश्चन ये है कि ही हैज ऑलरेडी डन डिप्लोमा. आई थिंक दिस इज व्हाट आई अंडरस्टूड 12th के बाद, लेकिन एक्सपीरियंस कैसे रीच कर सकते हैं? एलिजिबिलिटी जो रहती है यूजुअली कंपनीज की, वो एक्सपीरियंस मांगते हैं. जब भी वो कहीं पे जॉब अप्लाई करते हैं तो ज्यादातर एक्सपीरियंस मांगते हैं, और ये प्रॉब्लम हर फ्रेशर्स को आ रहा है आजकल. तो इज देयर अ वे, लाइक किस तरह से कंपनी को अप्रोच करे, लाइक फॉर इंटर्नशिप और समथिंग, यू नो, टू गेन द इनिशियल एक्सपीरियंस?
Okay, post-COVID, really, this is something really is tough for not only HSC beginners, but to all professionals. Not only, for example, I can tell you our case, we are in the plant where we work, we have engineers coming as helpers and technicians. So the industry is becoming really difficult for people to get a job as per their qualification.
Okay. Alright, तो इसका कोई तरीका है, मतलब how can we help our people, you know, to reach some, how can we guide them? यानी कुछ तरीका तो होगा जिससे हम लोग उनकी हेल्प कर सकते हैं कि वो कंपनी तक रीच कर सके एटलीस्ट.
So only thing is through our professional groups. We have the HSC group among us, as we as HSC professions. We can help our brothers when there is an opportunity within our departments or within our subcontractors. We can give them, we can guide these people, we can mentor them. So basically, it is the professional HSC groups which we have among which we try. So whenever we have an opportunity to support our brothers, we need to come forward to put him there, and we can grow. We can help him grow in that position. That's it. So it's basically a help by our own HSC Kokani professionals who are working in this industry to look into this one. That's including me and all of the people around.
Okay. तो आतिफ के लिए ये आंसर है कि गेट इन टच विद अस, वी विल गेट यू कनेक्टेड विद अब्दुल कुद्दुस भाई, और वहां से हम लोग आपका प्रोफाइल शेयर करेंगे जो HSC कॉन्टैक्ट्स है उसके अंदर, एंड लेट्स सी, होपफुली कुछ वहां से अगर हो जाता है तो विल गेट इट डन. ओके, विल ट्राई टू हेल्प एज मच एज पॉसिबल. जफर इकबाल भाई, आपका माइक अनम्यूट है, तो यू कैन आस्क योर क्वेश्चन.
सर, थैंक यू वेरी मच इतना सच यानी काइंड इन्फॉर्मेशन देने के लिए. सर, मेरा ये क्वेश्चन था कि आई एम अ सिंपल BA इन आर्ट्स, और मैंने आयोश, ओशा, निबोश और एनवायरमेंटल मैनेजमेंट लेवल 3 का किया हुआ है डिप्लोमा. तो अब मैं जा रहा हूँ, मैं सोच रहा हूँ कि मैं 45,001 के लिए जाऊँ, लेकिन मुझे जो HSC मैनेजर या जो मेरे कुलीग है वो लोग यही कह रहे हैं कि विदाउट यानी कि एक्सपीरियंस, यानी कि अभी मैं कोई जॉब नहीं कर रहा, विदाउट एक्सपीरियंस आप उसमें जो है ना आपको बहुत मुश्किल आएगी अगर मैं अपने बेस पे करूँ. ज्यादातर लोग आजकल जो है ना वो डन बेस पे कर रहे हैं, वो बात नहीं कर रहा. मैं खुद के कर रहा हूँ कि मैं खुद इतना सीखूं कि मैं वहां तक चला जाऊं. तो क्या मैं 45,001 के लिए जाऊं? मेरा फर्स्ट क्वेश्चन ये था. सेकंड क्वेश्चन ये कि काइंडली आप अपने इंस्टीट्यूट के बारे में जो कोर्स प्रोवाइड कर रहे हैं वो भी काइंडली डिफाइन कर दीजिएगा स्टूडेंट्स को, कि हमें पता चले कि क्या है क्या नहीं है. थैंक यू सर.
See, for going 45,001 definitely demands experience. For example, if I have 45,001 and I'm put in a condition, I should be able to judge, this comes with a quality experience. If a guy is working in an industry for, let's say, 5 to 10 years, and he does this course, he go to a location, it is the experience which will help him understand things better. If I as a beginner, Zafar, for sure, you can pass the course. I'm sure about it. Once you put an effort, passing the course will not be a challenge for you. You can go through it, as simple as that. But the challenge is when you give, now if I tell you, okay, Zafar, go do an audit for me of this company. Like I gave an example in our case that the emergency exit was blocked. Okay, if an emergency exit was blocked, are you straight away going to give a non-conformity? What tactics will you apply to understand the behavior of things So as a beginner, definitely you will face a challenge. Now, assuming that you go into this 45,000, you have 45,000. So I feel that without the experience, initial 3 to 5 audits will be a learning for you. You will definitely get the understanding within the 5 audits, and thereafter you should be able to launch yourself. So though with lack of experience, with 3 to 5 audits in your bag, this should help you. And over time, as you do more audits, you can improve on that one. So definitely, I would recommend you can go for 45,000. It is a very good course. Yes, it demands experience, but since you don't have and you want to be the edge, first 3 to 4 experience will be tough for you. You may be embarrassed, you may be, but that doesn't matter, because what matters is the learnings you take from that session. So definitely, I recommend you to go for it. Regarding the second question on the university, what courses will happen, that will be given by Tabriz. Tabriz, up to you.
Yeah, thank you. There is Muhammad Hassan. Your mic is unmute. You can ask your question now. Muhammad Hassan. Muhammad Hassan Khalil.
Yeah, I am with you. Thank you all for letting me the chance to talk with you. Are you all hearing me clearly?
Yeah. We can hear you clearly. Go ahead, please.
Okay. I just want to ask. First of all, I just want to thank the presenter for this great opportunity to take knowledge from his experience. My question is, I have finished petroleum engineering, but I haven't get the chance to work as a petroleum engineer. So I just go to the HSE or the safety field. I am now an HSE inspector, so I just wanna him to just give me a spotlight or to draw my career path to be يعني to combine with the petroleum engineering and HSE, or to make the best benefit from the two fields. Thank you.
I think Mohammed, thank you for point. You can go into the engineering aspect. You can be a process safety engineer. You can be a HAZOP team leader. You can do a course on HAZOP facet. This one, so you can since you have the engineering background, you can go into and doing these courses which I highlighted. You can be HAZOP team leader. So if you with that knowledge on HAZOP, this one, you can run sessions of teams in this one. So maybe HAZOP and facet could be a better. So look into that. You can go into engineering aspect of this process safety engineer or the risk engineer, which I quoted in my session. This one, that could be something which you can look at with that kind of exposure. That will benefit you, I believe.
Okay, thank you very much. I will take this in my mind. Thank you.
There is one more question, Abdul Quddus bhai, regarding the quality professionals. Basically, there is some confusion in the people between the quality and the HSC profession. So some people think that both are the same. So the quality guy, what is the opportunity for the quality guy in the HSC profession?
See, so as I say, depend on his qualification. His qualification will dictate. See again, his qualification, his experience.
Somebody who has done the quality diploma in the quality assurance and quality,
then the
diploma
best
in
course
quality.
for him will be OSHA ISO 45,000. Because you can go into the system. ISO 45,000 could be a better course for him. Because that's an auditing skills, management systems, procedures, documentation. That could be the something, but again, it depends on his experience, his other HSC affiliated courses which he has done with him. But see, again, a change of it is same like somebody joining after 10th, somebody joining after 12th. Same concept will apply. But what will make it hold him back is the experience. The number of years of HSC experience will hold him back. That's the only thing. But again, he can start into this process. He can, because same concept which we discussed about at 10th grade or 12th grader who does the accreditation courses.
One of the question received from brother Ibrahim Sange. He has completed the BSc and he has done diploma in aviation, airline industry, and he has also completed the safety engineering course. So what are the opportunities for him for the HSC? But I assume because he has done the Bachelor in Science, so I assume that he can start doing the diploma as this question is already answered by you earlier, right?
Yes, yeah. I think the one with the if you go up slide number 22. Okay, just actually the slide number 22 which we have. Yeah, 1 minute. Okay, you can see the screen there.
Yeah.
See here, basically is the same thing here. See, bachelor's degree in engineering. So you can go this forward. So more if you go through this chart, it's a very nice chart. And though I have taken it from an one oil and gas company, 99% is the same thing we ask. If you are able to get all this thing, you are in the top notch guys. So yeah, bachelor degree or engineering. If you have this one, you have this qualification, and then this is the minimum thing that can help you. Plus more accreditation. I'm telling you, you have to make the difference. If many people have the same qualification, what is the thing you go extra? Like you can be an stress specialist. There's very few people going to the NC certified stress specialist courses, something like this.
Okay. One last question after that, because it's already we have delayed too much. One last question from our brother Fauzan. What are the online courses available within the safety? Is it required to be on the physical course to do the physical course, or online courses are available which are widely accepted by the industry?
Yes, now after pandemic, there are many online courses. Yes, they are why you can do online courses. See, most of the courses are online courses. Very few courses might ask you a physical presence. As you can see, all these courses like BCI online course. Okay, train the trainer. I have no idea, but we can get inputs from the people here. But definitely, most of the courses online you can do it.
Okay. I think that's it for now. We have other questions also, but we will try to answer in the WhatsApp group or Telegram group, because we don't want to take too much time of the audience. Lastly, for anyone who wants to do the online courses in the SSC, health and safety professional, then you can get in touch with us, get in touch with Nabil, who is handling this, and we will arrange for the online courses with a highly discounted price, for our people. So we are trying to collaborate with the institution to get the online courses available. So please get in touch with Nabil, or you can get in touch with us or join our WhatsApp or Telegram group, and then we will update it there. And we will also send this presentation to all our attendees who have already attended and who have already registered for this event earlier, and they have attended this event also. So we will be giving them access to our free course library. Around 100+ courses will be available for them. So please get in touch to Nabil for that as well. Thank you very much. And I hope this was good information.
One more point. There is one very important point. Somebody raised, how do you recognize yourself? Okay. The only way people recognize, or now in this, at least is by LinkedIn profile. So I would recommend any HSC profession there, he need to build on this LinkedIn profile. And with LinkedIn profile, try to get the recommendation of the managers or people who are there near you. So if you build on the recommendation, for example, if I see a LinkedIn and it is recommended by one of a HSC manager, so it makes that advantage. So guys, try to build your LinkedIn profile. Ask people who you have worked with, managers, to recommend you, because those recommendations we value, and definitely these are something which will people look at. Even for me, if somebody asks me about something, I just go to the LinkedIn profile, see the people who you work with, and I call, and that's how I evaluate. So build your LinkedIn profile, it will add value to you, inshallah.
Yeah, and just for knowledge to our audience, we are going to set up very soon one of the webinar, how to get a job, especially in the Gulf area. So one of our speaker from who is very experienced in recruitment and all, he is going to speak about how to search for the job in the Gulf area. So we'll be giving this webinar very soon. Also, we have other webinar lined up. So please connect us on our WhatsApp and Telegram group again. And thank you very much. Thank you, Abdul Quddus bhai. Thank you, Nabil and KVU team. Jazakallah khair. We'll end this session here. Thank you very much.